All right, so now I'm all set up. I've connected to my dust collector. I've got my shot blaster ready to go. One of the best practices that I like to do is to take whatever extension cord I've got running to my shot blaster, and I like to tape it every 3 feet to my hose all the way back to the dust collector. And the reason that I do that is instead of managing 2 different things, I'm only managing 1 hose that's taped to the electrical cord. It's something less to trip over, and it's also just a lot cleaner and easier to work with. Obviously, not every job site is going to be able to do that. If you've got power coming from multiple locations to power your machines, you just have to do the best that you can, but I highly recommend doing that. And another best practice too is when you start blasting, you always want to start as close to your dust collector as you can, and then work away from it, and then work back to it, and then work away from it, and work back to it. So what that might look like is me going like this. I'm going to turn around, and what you can see is the hose starts to follow me as I do my work. So I'm not having to fight the hose, and it's not getting in my way as I go to do my passes. So it's about working efficiently and smart so that you're not having to fight your equipment. The way that we start blasting is you're behind the machine, you turn the machine on, and the motor is gonna rev up. You don't have any shot flowing yet, it's just the motor revving up. You're gonna notice your amp draw spike, it's gonna settle back down. Once the amps have settled down, that is when you're ready to start blasting. And the way that you do that is you start moving forward slowly and you gently open your shot valve lever. You don't wanna just pull that shot valve open fully right away. What you wanna do is pull it up nice and slow. It doesn't have to be like a turtle, but you certainly don't want it to be like the rabbit. Somewhere in between. Allow that shot to start flowing gradually through the machine, and you're gonna get a beautiful pass. What's gonna happen if you open that too quickly, you're gonna flood the machine with shot. The motor can't catch up to impel that shot, and it's just gonna all start dropping out the bottom of the machine because it's lost the rebound part of the equation. So if you open that gently and you just, at a very nice, even pace, walk along, you get to the end of your run, you want to stop. So you close the valve, you make a U-turn, you line yourself back up, and on this particular machine, what you're going to be looking for is to have the end of your run from before to be right in the middle of the back wheel, or you can look down here and it's going to be maybe about 1/4 of an inch on the inside of the metal frame on the bottom. You're gonna line yourself up, and with practice, you'll get really good at it. But you start moving again, you open your shot valve lever at a very nice, even, slow pace. You walk, you complete your run, and you're gonna close that lever again. A big caution that I have for guys who are just starting to use this or have new employees is to make sure that if you ever walk away from this machine, you turn the blast motor off. So even if this machine is on, but your shot valve lever is closed, let's just say something, a little piece of wire or something got wedged at the very bottom of that machine, and it's allowing just a couple of beads to go through every second, but you let it sit in one spot, you're gonna start digging a trench into the concrete. And if you're walking and you stop, the first thing you've got to do is close your shot valve. If you pause with this shot valve open, in about 10 seconds, you'll probably have dug maybe 1/4 inch or to 1/2 inch of concrete out from under this machine. And it's no exaggeration, and I will be the first one to say, yes, I've done it. I did it the first time I ever used one of these machines. I don't need to tell you the story, but it definitely can do some damage. So whenever this machine is stationary, that shot valve needs to be closed. A topic that comes up a lot with these machines, especially from guys who are new to the industry, what direction can I use these machines? When you've got a grinder and you're used to grinding floors, you can go any which direction you want to go in, forwards, backwards, maybe not upside down, but it's all going to work no matter what you do. But shot blasters are designed to blast in a straight path in one direction. This machine is designed to blast with me walking behind it and pushing the machine forward. It can deviate a little bit. No one is perfect. As you're blasting, you'll get better over time. You'll notice some little swerves, but this machine is designed to work in a straight line. Imagine with me, when you get to the end of the line, your shot valve is open. You're gonna wanna close that, complete your turn, and then start walking and open it back up. So these machines are not designed to blast in a circle, and that has to do with how the shot is flung at the floor. When you start to walk in the wrong direction or you are blasting on a curve, what happens is you eliminate that rebound part of the equation. So rebound and suction, if you get rid of one, the machine's not gonna work. So that's why it's designed to work in one direction in a line. When you get to a job site, it's really important to think about perspective. Parking garages, major industrial areas, maybe not as much. There's a lot of entrances and exits, a lot of lighting sources, that sort of thing. So the chances of this being an issue are less. But if you're at somebody's home, let's say you're in a garage and they're gonna be doing a chip coat, like an epoxy coat, then you wanna look, where are the main points that they're going to be looking at that floor? So your entrance point is gonna be from the house into the garage, and obviously from the big garage door to the outside to the inside. And when you see where those lines go, where that line of perspective would be, I'm saying ours goes this way because we've got a big garage door over here, we've got a door to our front office over here. So in this space, it's running, this way. I'm gonna blast perpendicular to that. And it just kind of goes back to, if you've ever driven by a field of corn, you're driving down one side, you've got corn, 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 corn. You've just got row after row after row after row of corn. And you got that kind of sensation sort of thing going on. But let's say you get to a stop sign and you make a right turn, and now you're driving across the same field, but you're going with the row. So now you just see one solid row of corn. So it's that same thing. It's perspective of, if you are looking at that side, then you're not gonna see all of those lines and all of the corn rows that you may have made when you were blasting. It's just one way to help make the floor look even better. Another thing to do when you're looking at that space, when you get to the job site, is how am I going to maneuver my machine inside that space? So obviously if I'm doing a garage, most likely I've got 3 walls and then a door to the outside. And I've got to be able to turn this machine around in that space at the end of my run. So my recommendation is gonna be to blast around those 3 walls and give yourself enough room to be able to turn around, and then come back and do the main section, perpendicular to wherever that perspective is looking at. That gives you enough room to be able to turn around, and it's gonna keep everything as nice and even as it can. Now, this machine is not designed to get into corners, but it is gonna get you the closest into a corner out of almost any other shot blaster out there. So you are still gonna have some hand grinding to do in the corners. And this machine is gonna get you about 1 inch to 1.5 inches away from the wall. So depending on if there's gonna be cove base or what your finishing is gonna be, you are still gonna have some edge work with this machine. That's just a heads up, it's the nature of the beast. One of the questions we get a lot is, all right, I need a CSP3, how do I get it? And with the manual shot blaster and with our bigger shot blasters, you can't just dial the machine to CSP3. You've got to make some adjustments, and that is figuring out how fast you're moving and how many amps you're drawing at one time. So what that might look like on here is, if I'm set up to my happy place of 17 amps, then I'm gonna make a quick test pass. For me, I'm just gonna walk like this, and then I'm gonna see what my CSP looks like. And if I'm happy with it, if I take my chip and I got my CSP3, then I know that at 17 amps, I can walk at a slightly slower than normal pace. And as long as I maintain that pace with this machine, I'm gonna get that. If I'm not happy with it, if I've not blasted enough, that I need to walk slower. If I'm blasting too much, I need to walk faster. Or on the flip side of that, if I have a specific pace that I like to walk, I can adjust the amp draw on this machine to either be higher or lower. Obviously, you want to keep it in that happy range of 14 to 17 amps. So if I can figure out that my normal walking pace and having this machine draw 17 amps is a great combination, then that's awesome. But if I maybe don't walk as fast, or maybe I tripped on one of my toddler's toys in the middle of the night, twisted my ankle, and I need to hobble along, then maybe I want to lower that amp draw so that I can walk slower without over profiling the floor. So I like to talk about, it's a happy ratio between the amount of amps you're drawing, how hard the machine is working, and how fast you want to walk. On our larger machines, we do that by setting a speed. So on a big job site, as long as the concrete is all relatively the same hardness, if you set the machine to a speed 5 and tell your operator, hey Mr. Operator, you need to be at this amp draw, then on that job site, as long as you're running at that same speed, 5, and drawing that same number of whatever amps the foreman told you to, then your blast pattern and your CSP should be pretty much the same across that entire space. It's a little harder to achieve with a manual shop blaster like the A95 because you do have that human component of me being on the shorter side versus maybe the guy that I hire who's taller than me, and how we both walk. So you just have to make sure that you're accounting for that when you're using this machine. All right, so I am done for the day. I've taken a little bit of a break after finishing. I've come back and I'm ready to clean up and get my machine ready for transport home. So the first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take my screen out, probably not just dump shrapnel into my bucket. I'd probably dump that into a trash can, but I just had some extra shot sitting on there. I like to use my hand magnet to pull the majority of the shot out of my machine and transfer it into a bucket. Alternatively, if you don't have a hand magnet, you can just open your shot valve, walk around, let the shot pour out, and then clean it up with your sweeper magnet, put it onto a piece of plastic or a piece of cardboard, fold that up and pour it back into your bucket. Definitely an acceptable way to do it. And then what I'll do is I want to tilt the machine back, and while wearing gloves, I like to take an old credit card, old hotel room key, a plastic putty knife, and scrape the shot off of my magnets. And the reason that I'm doing that with something plastic is because it's not magnetic and I'm working with magnets. And then secondly, I want to put something in between me and the magnets that I'm cleaning off, just in case you picked up a sharp piece of metal or a razor blade somewhere along the line, you don't slice your hand open. But I want to clean all of that shot off of there so that I'm not leaving a trail from the job site to my van. Thank you guys for joining me today. I really appreciate you taking the time out to watch this video. I hope that going over all of this helps you get familiar with your A95 a little bit better. If there's anything you think I didn't cover in this video, or if you've got any questions, please reach out to us. Go to our website, give us a shout. We would love to hear from you and help you out. Thanks so much.